Mike?
Well, Donna, there are some matters that are shared jurisdictions with the provinces. This isn't one of them. It's federal. And we heard over and over from people that as we're choosing a federal government, defense is something we should be talking about. Canada's military doesn't usually register as a major issue in our elections. If you speak to experts, they say that's fine in normal times, but that these aren't normal times.
We have depended upon the United States for our protection. Well, American power and their ability to protect Canada, it's hardly a sure thing anymore.
The world is a more dangerous place than it was 4 years ago. First, China's flexing its muscles constantly. In fact, a Canadian warship last summer in international waters was buzzed by Chinese fighter jets. And then there's Russia. It's pushing and testing NATO from the east in Ukraine. It's involved in Syria, propping up the Assad regime. Russia's also expanding its presence here in the Western Hemisphere. The U.S. has told Russia not to send troops to Venezuela, but it's done so repeatedly, as recently as last month. And then just this month, the Russian Prime Minister was in Cuba, renewing commercial and military ties. Through all of that, radio silence from Canadian politicians.
The basic fact that the parties aren't giving any airtime to this is just really kind of crazy. I mean, if there was an election to have the Monk debate on foreign policy, this was it.
Are you ready?
Now, what makes the situation even more urgent is the political situation south of the border. Even before the Trump administration, there was a shifting in the U.S. away from its Cold War doctrine as a global policeman. President Trump just tapped into it.
Let them have their borders.
Some of the attitudes that he's conveying reflect a wider shift amongst parts of the American population that is uninterested in continuing to play and pay for the role that they have in the past decades.
Another big challenge ahead for Canada is the North. Russia's building bases in the Arctic, while there are rumblings out of China as well. It's not an Arctic nation, but it's trying to join the Arctic Council, arguing the North is a global resource. Through it all, in this election, there isn't even a debate over replacing Canada's aging fighter jets.
The F-35 is still out there as a question. It was huge in the election 4 years ago, and now it's a total non-issue.
There are some problems you can get away with not addressing. You just wait and they go away. When it comes to defense and the challenges Canada's facing, they're not going away. They're getting worse. Donna?
All right, Mike Armstrong in Montreal, thanks. All four major political parties have released details on how they plan to address Canada's defense problems. The Liberals plan to ensure defense procurement projects are delivered on time by creating what they call a new agency on Defense Procurement Canada. They're also vowing to develop better surveillance and rapid response capabilities in the Arctic. The Conservatives say they'll establish, without a doubt, Canada's sovereignty in the North by reinforcing our country's standing as a maritime nation. That party is also vowing to depoliticize military procurement by establishing new oversight bodies in Cabinet and the Privy Council office. The New Democrats promise to replace the fighter jets and say they are committed to ensuring the Canadian Armed Forces can meet the needs in the North. The Greens say they'll also make sure the military gets the equipment it needs and ensure it's prepared to protect Canada's northern border as Arctic ice melts.